think it's an assault to Black people's intelligence to assume that they're not reading the platform of either one of these parties. But I believe if you want Black people to read the platform of the Republican Party, then give Black people better leaders to look at from the Republican Party. If that's the case, then we need millions of Dr. Linda Lee Tarvers across the country doing outreach to get more Black people involved in the Republican Party. But it's an absolute insult to think that Black people are not reading the platforms of either party, when if that's the case, when Black Democrats are probably the ones going door to door, going to the churches, going to these HBCU football games, or going wherever they need to go to make sure that they're doing the outreach. But it's a complete insult to think that they're not reading the platforms when that's all we see. If you're giving me these Republican talking points on TV, then that's what I'm gonna base it off of. That's what I'm gonna base your platform off of. If that's not what your platform is, but let me finish. If that's not what the platform is, then the party needs to do a better job of getting that message out if you want more Black people to be involved in the party. And that just goes from both angles. But it's an absolute insult to think people are not reading the platforms.
It's not an insult when you know that they're not reading the platform. I don't know.
You can't speak for everybody, Dr. Linda Lee Tarver. You can't speak for everybody. You can only speak for the bubble that you were in. You can only speak for the bubble that you were in. And if more, okay, well, that big bubble needs to burst, because you can't sit here and say that people aren't reading the platform.
I'm telling you, I've got a big bubble. It's in black and white.
Well, then you should do a better job of getting that Republican platform out if you think that people aren't reading the platform. Because basically you are in.
I think if we're going to be fair about this, though, I mean,
if we're going to be fair, go ahead, Jeff.
But if we're going to be fair about this, I mean, let's just be real. Black, white, or otherwise, a lot of people don't know the platform of the party that they vote for. And I've talked to plenty of white conservatives who have no idea what conservatism is.
Correct.
So I mean, but there are also a lot of people of every race that do know the platform. So some people do the work and some people don't. I mean, this isn't just specific to Black people. Correct. And I think that, but I think the point is apt that the Republican Party does need to do a better job of reaching out. I mean, I honestly think that is the main reason why Black people vote for Democrats at 90%. A lot of them, if you go to the cities, they'll say, have you seen a Republican show up? They'll say no. In a lot of these local races, I've talked to people, I've interviewed people, Chicago, Baltimore, DC, other cities, and they're telling me like, well, I don't get any support from the party when I go to run. When Republicans actually show up, they do well. Governor Mike Huckabee, when he ran for re-election for governor of Arkansas, he got 48% of the Black vote. I asked him how he did it. He said, well, I asked for it. But he didn't just ask for it. He was in the community. He was at Black churches. He was breaking bread with Black people. He didn't sit back and wait for them to come to him. He went to them. You know, Jalen Johnson, who won city commissioner in Albany, Georgia, he went out there, only 22 years old, 70% Black district, and he won, and he's a conservative. So, the proof is in the pudding. When we actually put forth the effort and it's sustained, it doesn't mean that we're going to always win, especially over short term. This is a long-term endeavor, but the bottom line is, if all Black people know about Republicans is what they see on Fox News or how they're characterized on CNN, then yeah, they're not really going to know. We got to go to them. And honestly, I think Black Voices for Trump did a decent job at that. I think that's one of the reasons why Trump increased his Black support. Absolutely. But we can't just focus at the presidential level. We got to go state and local as well and apply the same formula.
So Corey, Dr. Tarver questioned your research. You did do research about the prevalence of Black Republicans who are race conscious. So talk about that.
Right. So one of the things I found in my study, and part of it was framed around this notion of like, are Black Republicans sellout, right? And what I overall found was that, the majority of the Black Republican activists I spoke with, saw themselves as Black people, identified as Black, lived in Black communities, were, sort of centering race when they came to think about politics, right? But, what happens is these Black Republicans I talked to said that they felt marginalized within the party because they centered race, right? Because Blackness was central to their politics. And so this was more of a question around, which Black Republicans get a platform within the party. And part of this question of like, why do Black people call Black Republicans sellouts is because—
Hold that thought on the sellouts. Dr. Tarver said you ain't talked to her. We'll be right back.